Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the last and final sign of the zodiac, Pisces. And when your moon is in Pisces, this is so important where your moon is. It really does depict your whole life processes as to when things are going to happen in your life, because it deals with your dashas. So we're going to talk about that. But before I do, let me remind everyone that go to my website, sign up for my free newsletter. You will get all of my predictions delivered to your email address every week. But then again, don't forget while you're there at my website, look and see where your moon is on my free chart calculator. So it will tell you the degree. Scroll down, look at the degree of your moon in your chart once you enter that. And while you're there on the website, check out my coming up new classes, Shooting Stars, and my crash course in Vedic Astrology. Plus, don't forget to check out my jewelry. So where is all of this going to be? galacticcenter.org. Okay, let's get going and talk about the emotional deep sign of Pisces. It is the last and final sign of the zodiac, so it deals with endings. And this is the last sign that deals with deep, powerful sensitivity, loyalty, emotions, but most of all, if I could say anything about Pisces, it is the most compassionate. Because generally, sometimes with people with the moon in Pisces, they've had hardship early on in life or a sickness that generally can make them more compassionate later in life. One thing about Pisces, though, it is ruled by Jupiter, so they're all about learning, but usually it's more about spiritual learning because they have this deep connection to their spiritual side. They are loving, emotional, sensitive souls, and they have this ability to where they are the most devoted when it comes to their beliefs because they have such strong spiritual beliefs. Now, because it's a water sign, they love being close to the water. They have this affinity to water and feeling water, even taking baths. It's like they're a fish. And this is the constellation of Pisces, which is relative to the fish. And the fish deals with what? Christianity, spirituality. It deals with everything to do with our beliefs. That's what Pisces is all about. And compassion and love. I love the way Pisces are so deep. They're spiritual, but they're also psychic. Amazingly psychic because of their deep sensitivities. They have deep, powerful dreams. They are like connected to another world all at the same time. They're a mutable water sign. Water, of course, represents the emotional body, but mutable means they're all over the place. Sometimes they don't take charge, where they allow people to walk all over them, take advantage of them. That's something that mutable water, they feel, and they don't know how to bring in their boundaries. That's what Pisces needs to learn, their boundaries. But it is such a wonderful sign of learning, truth, and deepness. Because this sign takes us to the end of the zodiac, which means the end of this world, and on to the next world. This is what they're all about. In Western tropical astrology, Neptune rules this sign. So sometimes they can get so involved in their beliefs, they can get too involved in cults or things like that. They have to be careful because they love the feeling of merging into the collective unconscious of oneness. They need their time alone because of this. But they have to be careful not to be sucked into cults or belief systems that can take advantage of them. That's Pisces. Pisces can be a bit of a victim, always finding where they're suffering. They throw it out as blaming others. They've got to watch that weakness of not blaming their difficult situations on different circumstances. In other words, being a victim. They have a problem with that, and they can change that. So let me talk about the nakshatras. They are the most important thing because they really do, where your moon is, according to the nakshatra, dictates when everything evolves and happens in your life. So if you have your moon from 0 degrees to 3 degrees 20 minutes of Pisces, then your moon sits in the nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada. This is a very profound nakshatra. Purva means the happy, means former, but it actually means the former happy feet. But it's actually relative to the front legs of the funeral cot. This does deal with endings, and it does deal with sorrow sometimes. But this nakshatra is very, very strong. Don't kid yourself. It's ruled by Jupiter, and people that are born with their moon here begin their life out in Jupiter's Mahadasha. So they're born into a pretty good circumstance according to where their Jupiter is, but a good life in the very beginning, because former means good in the first part of life, not as much as in the second. They're stronger in the first, is what I'm trying to say. So its symbol is a man with two faces, and they may have their issues with having two different lives, and sometimes being two-faced. But sometimes that's not at all what it means. Sometimes it can actually mean they have two different fronts or faces they show to the world. One is completely different at home than the one they have at work. And many times when people have this nakshatra strong, it's other people in their life, and maybe even referring to the moon is the mother. Can mean their mother has two different sides, or can be two-faced as well. But it can many, many times, depending on where the moon is placed, depict someone in their life that has two faces, or two-faced. Can even, if it's in the 7th house, could be relative to that. So it depends on what house it's in as to the situation with the two faces. Merkab is the star that's very close to the end of Aquarius, beginning of Pisces, which can deal with sorrow. But the one that's 3 degrees of Pisces is Sheet, around that placement. And it does deal with deep suffering and sorrow and some kind of karmic situation. So be aware of that. It deals with misfortune, okay? The deity is Ajakapada, which is the one-footed goat, and it's in Pegasus, which represents many times sacrifice for a higher cause, which is very, very powerful and says a lot for what their power and goodness is all about. So let's say you have your moon at 3 degrees 20 minutes of Pisces, or it extends from 3 degrees 20 minutes to 16 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. Then you have your moon in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. And this means you start out life in Saturn's Mahadasha. Not an easy placement for you to start out life. Things can be slow to get going, or maybe a certain circumstance in the early part of life that wasn't so easy. But I'll tell you, Uttara means in the latter life. And I'll tell you, this nakshatra has great inheritances usually that come to them in the second part of life. And if you don't see it coming from your family, it could be from a husband, spouse, or even a friend, but money will come to you through other people when you have this moon in Uttara Bhadrapada, generally in the second part of life. Now, it is the end legs of the funeral cot. So it does deal with endings and deep stuff. Its ruling deity is the serpent of the deep. And this deals with deep, profound ways of being and thoughts and wisdom that this nakshatra carries with it. Deep dreams, being connected to other worlds and realms. It is also called the warrior star, though, and the warrior star, it does mean it has an aggression about it, but it's much milder than Purva Bhadrapada. These people love seclusion. They need to be by themselves. They have a very profound wisdom, and of course, all of this comes to them when they find their time alone. The stars that are in this portion of the zodiac is Al-Janeb, which is the wing of Pegasus, and it deals with great intelligence once again. But it also means someone that's entirely very responsible, because remember, Saturn does rule this nakshatra. So this is a very profound, deep, intelligent, full of wisdom nakshatra. The serpent of the deep will make their minds go to realms that isn't possible for many other people. So let's talk about if your moon sits in the last 13 degrees 20 minutes of the sign of Pisces. So that would be 16 degrees 40 minutes to the end of Pisces, 30 degrees, the very last degree of the zodiac. Then your moon sits in the nakshatra called Revati. And Revati is a beautiful, sweet nakshatra. People with this nakshatra are usually very kind and loving. And they say that people with this nakshatra are blessed with children, with good children. And Pushan is the god that owns Revati, and Pushan is the god of travels. So they're protected as they travel. They have safe travels. It's like they may travel even, where their friends lose their luggage and they don't. They're very blessed when they travel. They have a love of travel to foreign lands and many countries. Another thing is, because this is the tail of the fish. Al-Ferg is the star here. It deals with organizational ability, great power. I'll tell you another thing about this nakshatra. They usually love small animals and have pets. They are mystics. They are spiritualists. And yes, they're the ones that suffer early from some childhood illness that makes them much more compassionate when they are adults. This isn't always the case, but many times you'll find this. They're prone to childhood illnesses, and because of that, they're healing. They're healers. They want to help people. They have compassion, and they are the most devoted of all the nakshatras. They are the ones that go on spiritual journeys, pilgrimages. And of course, this is the last sign of the zodiac that goes into the last and final journey of life. That's what they're very aware of. They can be very responsible and caring for everyone. So if you have your moon in this nakshatra, you are very blessed. And you will start your life out in Mercury's Mahadasha, which means you love to learn. There's this deep interest in the world and learning. And I have to say, it's always for you going to be about spirituality and spiritual growth and learning more about all the metaphysical sciences that promote that. And especially, you will have vivid telling dreams. You are a mystic and a psychic if you have this, your moon, not only in this nakshatra, but any of the nakshatras that are in the sign of Pisces. So I hope I gave you a better understanding of what it means to have your moon in Pisces. And This should give you great guidance. So with that, I'll close. If you would like to learn Vedic astrology, remember I have a stellar university. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com, and I will see you in class. Thank you.